It's Morning Joe and the Pro. The Pro today is Mr. Teddy Cervansky. Teddy Covers. You're at Teddy_Covers on Twitter. Of course, you know who I am, Marco D'Angelo, sitting in for the Prez. I got very bad news. Tomorrow he returns to host his own show again. So sorry about that, guys. But, you can't have, me and Teddy all the time. Teddy, how are you today?
I'm tired, man. We were out late last night.
Yeah,
It's funny.
That's my normal nights, buddy. I'm out late. It's
yeah,
Vegas.
I'm an old guy now, and all the WagerTalk guys were in town last night, with Johnny and Prez. Everyone's playing a poker tournament, and next thing you know, it's 2. I don't do 2 a.m. I'm an old guy now, so I'm tired today. How about you?
Well, you know what? I'm not tired. I really a little bit disappointed. I think that we cut the all-you-can-eat sushi off one round too soon. I think I had one more round in me last night.
Well, I'm hungry in the morning. You know what I mean? And if you eat enough sushi the night before, you're not supposed to be hungry the next day.
Yeah. So there you go.
So yeah, we probably could have. But for all-you-can-eat sushi, it was pretty darn good, man. We chowed. And then it was good to celebrate. What Prez finished the second in that tournament. So he made a couple of dimes and took us out to sushi at midnight or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun, no question.
We put in a good.
But, you and I live in Vegas. We see each other what? Well, we see each other when we shoot videos.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's like once in a while, But so it's good to get out and break bread.
There it was. Actually, there was no bread.
No bread. We had to hang with Prez.
Yeah, no bread involved last night.
It's an expression.
I know, buddy. I got to give you a hard time.
I certainly hope so.
Hey, looking dapper today. Last time you were on, you had casual Friday Teddy. You didn't have a jacket on. Probably one of the few times that I saw you on this without a jacket. You were casual, but
I have to wear a jacket to do TV because I got scrawny arms. I'm not working out.
Oh, you mean you're not the Prez going to show the guns like he does?
No, exactly. So, but the truth of it is that if you're going to be on camera and you're the tall, thin type, you want to wear a jacket. Otherwise, I look real. I just look super skinny.
Hey, I just look big and fat in anything, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter for you. Exactly. You can wear just don't wear yellow.
Okay, Big Bird. Hey. One time you got to go back and find it, but our buddy Brian Leonard did have a bright yellow hoodie pullover that he wore in one of the videos, and I actually introduced him as Big Bird in that video when we did it. So that's you can find that on YouTube. That was a classic. Hey, we got 2 NBA games tonight. Before we get to it, I want to just tell you that let's recap last night and what we've got moving ahead to tomorrow. Because the Golden State Houston series has lived up to all of the hype. But now we've got a wrench thrown into it. Kevin Durant left the court last night, out for Friday, and we've seen a big move in the market as far as where the number's at. Just your first reaction, is this number too high, where it should be, or you haven't formed an opinion yet?
The only side I could play in Game 6 would be the Golden State Warriors plus. And I've been on Houston in all 5 games. The clients and I have been on Houston all 5 games. We're 4-1 ATS. The one loss came by a hook. I went into the series saying I think the Rockets are the undervalued commodity out of these 2 teams. I think they can give Golden State all they can handle. And from a point spread perspective, that's been proven, at least so far. But when you talk about market adjustments and line value and line parameters, which we use every day at WagerTalk on every play, we have a line parameter. Hey, 3% at this, if you get this price, and if you don't get this price, you make your wager smaller. If you get better than this price, you can up it. But when you talk about the line parameters for Game 6, Golden State was -1 in Game 4 at Houston. Now they're +7, +7.5. Now, admittedly, the circumstance is different. This time you have the Warriors coming off a win as opposed to the Rockets coming off a win. But we're talking about the same 2 teams on the same court less than 4 days later, and it's gone from Golden State -1 to Houston -7. And then 7.5, so like I said, are out there as we record. That for Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's an elite player. The Warriors have a fair few of those, as they showed again last night. I think it's an overadjustment. And especially with what we've seen from the Rockets in this series, where we saw it again last night. Push come to shove, last 2-3 minutes of these games, Houston needs a bucket, needs a stop. They haven't been able to do it in any of them. Right. They really haven't. They blew the game. Was it game 3 went to OT before they won it after they blew the lead late. Game 4, they tried to blow the lead late. Game 2, was it game 1? There's 3 or 4 times in this series where they've had chances and couldn't execute down the stretch. And we saw it again last night, where they had a chance to make that game really tight in the last 2 minutes. And it was empty offensive possessions from Paul and empty offensive possessions from Harden, and the ball movement wasn't there. And that's a problem when you're talking about a team laying 7 or 7.5 points in game 6, facing elimination, even without Kevin Durant.
Yeah, the games in Houston, Teddy, honestly, you talk about game 4 and it closed Golden State -1. The public got involved in that, helped drive that line. I talked on yesterday's show. I was at Red Rock the night that game was being played, and I swear I was the only guy in the house rooting for the Rockets that night. Everybody was on Golden State, and we know stations is more. I like to, it's the more recreational house in town. You got more locals playing there, so it's not uncommon to see everybody on Golden State. But the line's been all over the place in all 3 games in Houston. The first game, game 3, it was 3.5. The Rockets were -3.5, and as you said, it closed Golden State 1 in game 4, and that's why I was on the Rockets. I thought there was too much value for me to pass up on Houston in game 4, and now, as you said, this is ridiculous on Kevin Durant, and possibly, if this is a season-ending injury, we don't know yet. We'll see what they say, but it did not look good, him going off the court last night, where the future is for him this season and the Golden State Warriors. But we got 2 games tonight. That's what we're here about, and we've got the Toronto Raptors that have looked pretty damn good the last couple games. The last one, they just took Philadelphia out behind the woodshed and put a beating on them. Does Philadelphia bounce back here at home? We've seen the market go to the Toronto side. This is I'm seeing up to 2.5 on the road here against Philadelphia. Is it the right side?
Well, what team facing elimination has shown up?
None.
I mean, Indiana hung tough with Boston, I guess. They didn't cover in the end. The Jazz were the one team that was down 3-0 that got a win in game 4 against Houston, and then covered game 5, but they lost by 7. We're not talking about 7 points here. So anyone wins by 7, they're covering tonight. So it's different in that regard. But, I mean, we said this at the beginning of the postseason. I say it every year at the beginning of the postseason. When a team is done, they're done. Doesn't matter if they're going home, going on the road, coming off a win. When they reach that point where they exhale, they're done. I'm not convinced that's the case for the 76ers. The quotes coming out of Philadelphia. Look, they've been dealing with Embiid health issues each of the last 2 games. And maybe they deal with it again tonight. Maybe he's still got diarrhea and crapping on the sidelines, and trying to get into the game. But when your best player literally is pooping his pants on the bench, it's not a good sign.
This is probably the first podcast in the history of sports podcasts where an analysis was when your best player's pooping his pants on the sideline. You crack me up, Teddy.
I have moments, man. I have moments, but I say I never smile when I say anything funny, so no one ever knows to take me seriously or not. But the bottom line with Embiid, you worry about a team like Philadelphia. I'm going to say was cobbled together. But this is a team that was put together throughout the course of the season. At the trade, when you bring in a Tobias Harris and you bring in a Jimmy Butler, and you're trying to fit these guys into the rotations, there's going to be some growing pains, and there can be some chemistry concerns. I'm not seeing any of that from the quotes coming out of Philadelphia. Jimmy Butler, like I said before, we're going to ride or die with the big fella. talking about Embiid.
Right.
Everybody around this locker room knows that. Everybody in the world should know that. The fans should know it. We'll be just fine. We're going to keep doing what we're doing, encouraging him to keep battling through his injury, through all the sickness, and we're here with him. Embiid a non-factor in Game 4, a non-factor in Game 5. If Philly's going to hang, it's Embiid. It's a good quote from Brett Brown. We're excited to go back to Philadelphia. No one's walking after the Game 5 loss. Nobody is walking out of here, woe is me. I promise you that. We have a prideful team. Jimmy Butler more. We just got to do what we're supposed to do, to go home for. That's it. Keep competing, play hard, stick together. We win together, lose together, and we're going to play together. Those are positive quotes. And we have a Raptors team coming off. Toronto cannot play any better than they played the other night, and Philly can't play worse.
I agree with you. And the difference where you said, has anybody showed up in an elimination game? There's a big difference between 3-1 elimination game and 3-2. This series is nowhere near over. You win this game, and you're still back to where you're at. You're back to a Game 7, and it's the way that the series was supposed to be decided basically on home court advantage. And I got I'll throw a couple angles at you. This is a league-wide stat involving tonight's game. NBA home teams in the range of +3 to -3 versus a division opponent off of a road loss by 10 points or more. Last 5 years in the NBA. Now, this is obviously including regular season, and it's a different animal in the playoffs, but it is an angle that's there. I'm going to put it out there. 41-18 against the spread, the home team in that situation. That's Philadelphia tonight. That's a league-wide angle. And then if you want to look at Philadelphia this season alone, this is a team that has bounced back off of bad losses. Every time that they've lost by 10 points or more this season, they come back 13-4 against the spread in the next game. This has been a team that's been Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde all year. When they play good, they look as good as anybody in the NBA. But too often than not, they throw in those clunker games, and you say, how do they do that? But I think they have a big shot of bouncing back tonight.
Yeah, they got a shot, and the point spread says they have a shot. All that being said, like we talked about, we haven't seen many teams this year in the postseason after they get punched and punched hard, punch back. So that's and we saw a complete laydown effort the other day, and those are both big concerns. Yeah. For the Philadelphia side. Toronto's looked like the better team. And in general, in these series, you want to be on the better team, more often than not. But is this a Raptors squad that we trust to get the elimination win on the road? And do we think that Philly's going to lay down? I don't think Philly lays down, and Toronto's not a team that I fully trust yet, especially off a dominant effort. The best game they've had in the postseason by far, matching that 2 games in a row. Maybe they have the confidence. Maybe it's all. And Philly has not figured out an answer for Kawhi Leonard in this series. Not at any point. And Leonard is not just making plays for himself. He's making plays for everybody else on the team. And that's, a difficult matchup that Brett Brown has been outcoached in trying to solve. Or maybe it's an unsolvable matchup for Philly, and then their season ends tonight.
All right, let's go to the second one. This has been an interesting series. Denver and Portland. You had Portland roll through that first series, take Oklahoma City out. There was a lot of love for Oklahoma City going into that series. In fact, they didn't have home court advantage, and they were the favorite in the series. Portland took care of them, but there's a little bit of a difference. They played an Oklahoma City team that we know what Oklahoma City is. They're all about Russell Westbrook, and they don't like to play hard defense, and it cost them. Portland, Dame had a series of his career against them. Been a little tougher against this Denver team. This is a young team. They're playing well. They're playing with confidence. Can they go to Portland and, close this thing out? Or do you see this one going a full 7? Denver's already played a 7-game series, but that had to give them some confidence, knocking the Spurs out. Even though this is not, a vintage Spurs team, to still take out the Spurs and Popovich for a young team. Even though they're the number 2 seed, that was an accomplishment in my eyes, and I thought it gave them confidence. Do they close it out tonight here?
Well, it gave them a ton of confidence. 4 of their 5 starters had never played a playoff game prior to the series against San Antonio. But remember what happened against the Spurs. Dominant win in Game 5 at home. They went on the road for Game 6, and it was not a dominant win. In fact, it was a pretty ugly loss for Denver in that contest. Mike Malone, quote, "When we know going to Portland for Game 6 is going to be really tough. Game 6 in San Antonio, we did not come ready to play, mentally or physically. I hope we have a much different mindset going into Portland for Game 6. I like that quote. That being said, Nuggets haven't done it. They won one of the early games in the series in Portland, just like they did in San Antonio. But this Game 6 closeout win, they couldn't do it in the first round. They're being asked to do it or come pretty darn close in tonight's ballgame. All that being said, Portland's, the issue for the Blazers going into the OKC series was like, this team doesn't play low post defense. Enes Kanter is not the answer for the low post defensively. And then Kanter played very, very well in the series against the Thunder, and a lot of that was OKC. They were a sub-500 team after the All-Star break, and they played like it. And going to the Denver series, we said, oh, wow, Jokic's going to eat them alive in the low post. Kanter can't stop them. And then Kanter played really well the first couple of games. That was the first couple of games. Last time out, what do you make, 2 shots? His quote, "They just played harder than us." Even the coach said that probably this is our worst basketball of the last 6 weeks. On defense, we weren't really communicating with each other. We didn't really trust each other. We've got to learn from this and go home and just take care of home right now. Right now, that's the most important game of the year. Look, Kanter is dealing with fasting for Ramadan right now. And it's not a winter fast where the days are short. It's a summer fast where you're fasting for 14, 15 hours. I don't know what he's fasting every day. He's calling Hakeem Olajuwon to try to get, how do I deal with the playoffs during Ramadan advice. And he played bad the other night. And if he plays bad tonight, Portland has no chance. No, they have a chance because Lillard can, Lillard's been, is it Denver's defense or is it Lillard wearing down or is it Lillard just, coming back to earth a little bit? But he had 39 points in Game 1. Since then, 7 of 32 from three-point range. The Blazers are going to win and cover tonight. Kanter's got to play well. Lillard's got to hit shots. And McCollum can't have another game. He only had 12 points in Game 5, his lowest scoring game of the postseason. That's 3 things that Portland needs to hang tough and win by margin against a Denver team that may have a little bit of confidence, more confidence than they did in the first round for the potential closeout tonight.
You talked about that San Antonio game where they didn't respond well after the big win. The last 2 seasons, Denver, following a home win of 10 points or more, and then they're on the road in the next game, they're only 4-13 against the spread in that scenario, Teddy. And then for the Portland side, off a revenge loss of 10 points or more, the last 2 seasons, Portland has been one of the best teams in the NBA playing with revenge. They're 16-4 against the spread. But if you put it as a road loss, that's 16-4, take it to just a road loss, they're 7-0 against the spread in the last 2 seasons. So you got a couple angles that says Portland should get it done. You've got the inexperienced Nuggets that, do they have the maturity? Did they learn from their first mistake against San Antonio? That's nice that they did. You would hope that they would. But when you have that young team, and we talk about it all the time, you've got to earn your stripes in the playoffs. In every step they go is that in that learning process. Did they learn from the Spurs series? They had all the pressure thrown back on them in Game 7, and they were able to get it done. So I think that was obviously monumental step forward. I lean to Portland in the game. I don't know that I can pull the trigger. I think they get it. Total-wise, though, we've seen this series go over the total, I think, 4 of the 5 games. I think they're on life support tonight. Portland needs to notch it up on the defensive end to have a shot in this game. And with that said, I think you are going to see the lower scoring game tonight here. Can I pull the trigger? They made the adjustment from the last game. And if you look at each game in this series, every time there's a result, Vegas is adjusting the total a couple points, Teddy. You know, they keep moving it around there. I think there's some value here on the under.
When it comes to game 5s and game 6s and game 7s, I don't bet overs. I flat out don't bet them in the NBA playoffs. What you have is teams that have faced off. I mean, I'm not never ever. I'm sure there's been a scenario or situation. I remember betting a game 7 over once and being so annoyed at myself because then it lost, and I was like, you can't bet game 7 overs. Yeah. You just can't do it. You know, long term, it's a dead nuts under trend. But when you get in as this series progresses, everybody knows what everybody's going to do. You know, yeah, there are adjustments, but man for man, player for player, the defenses start to get a little bit of an edge. In addition, the pace tends to slow as the series progresses, especially a series like this, on a day, off a day, on a day, off a day. The guys are getting a little bit worn down. The starters are getting a little bit worn down. Sometimes that matters on defense, where you're a step slow. A lot of times it matters on offense. Your jump shots don't fall the way that they were. We saw that certainly for the Rockets Warriors last night. You know, Denver's have been an elite defensive team all year. They've been capable of controlling pace. Obviously, they've taken care of that Blazers backcourt in this series, and that's where Portland's strength is. Portland's defense hasn't been great. And, you know, we talked about the lack of the quote from Canner, where we talked about the lack of communication last time out. That does concern me to bet the under here, but it's an under or pass a priori. You know, these games 5, game 6s, game 7s are not games that I'm looking to bet over the total, not on any consistent basis, unless there's a compelling reason to. I don't see one for this game.
All right, great stuff as always. Do you have any plays up today at WagerTalk Sports Memo?
I have 2 plays up today, including in one of the games we just talked about, Philly and Toronto, as well as MLB. I'm involved with the I got a run line today, dude. I cashed one yesterday, and it was 9-0 winner for the Astros, and I got another one in play for today. You know, as we get into May, I start playing the run lines a little bit more when I'm getting involved with some of these chalky teams. And, you know, the lineup I have behind me, I think the potential to pound out a whole bunch of runs this year.
Good stuff. I would tell you what I have up yet today, but I don't have it up yet because I've been hosting some shows for Mr. Prez.
No, we're up too late last night. Well, see, that's the difference. See, my alarm's still set at 6, man, even though we were up till 2. The ding and den. I hit snooze twice this morning, which I don't usually hit, but there you are. Okay. You're dawdling.
Yeah, well, I was actually prepping to have some knowledge to drop on the shows, and
you drop good angles, bro.
All right, buddy. He is Teddy Covers. I am Marco D'Angelo.
Hang on, say my last name.
Savansky.
Sevransky. The V for the R.
All right. You know what? You're Teddy Covers. That's it. Okay?
Exactly. That's what. How do you think the nickname stuck, dude? Not off the tongue. Yeah, someone called me Teddy Covers once, and boom, it like wildfire. I didn't create it. Someone called it, and it was like, thank you. But yeah, it's Sevransky for future.
Sevransky. How's that? Okay.
Just how it's spelled.
All right. Okay. Yeah. You're going to quiz me on that one now too on air.
I want to make sure the audience knows that. I'm not trying to hide anything. Okay. All right. Sevransky.
There you go. All right. You have it. All right. So I can't pronounce Teddy's last name, but you know what? I can deliver a good sushi place. That's all that counts. All right. You want to?
I'll take that trade off any day of the week.
All right. So when you're hungry for sushi, you need a sushi partner. Give me a holler, because my problem is my significant other does not like sushi. So I'm usually eating sushi by myself, because basically,
honestly, that's reason enough not to get married.
I will let Lori know that Teddy does not approve of you being a non-sushi eater.
With Kara, it was like, okay, we're going for sushi, and if you don't like it, this is like it's like a litmus test.
That's it. It's a deal breaker.
Yeah, but really? She liked it, so.
Okay, all right. Well, sometimes there's some things that top sushi. All right.
All right, go get laid, Marco.
Okay, we'll just leave things there. All right, buddy. He's Teddy. I'm Marco. We'll see the Prez back tomorrow. Sorry for you guys, but that's the way it is. Have a good one, Teddy, and good luck tonight with your plays. Unless you're opposite me, then I'm sorry. I got to root against you.
You don't have any plays up.
They'll be up in a minute. Give me a chance. I got to get a second cup of coffee, and start posting the plays and writing the analysis. All right.
Yeah, well, yeah, write-ups. I'm with you on the write-ups. I usually have my write-ups posted by 11 or noon Pacific time, depending on how many shows I have to do in the morning. But plays got to be posted. Clients want them. Hurry.
Get it.
Hurry.
I'm on it. See ya.